Hey everybody, Average Picker here. So we're going to pick some locks. We're going to have some cuts in this video as we swap locks out. Not a big deal, because this video is going to kind of look at what progression somebody starting out might make. And there is a bigger point to it at the end. And then we'll probably look at this in more detail later. But anyway, we're going to start with this Master 40 millimeter. It's a pretty basic lock that a lot of people start on. I would start it with a Master 3, but my only Master 3 is full of gunk. I'm also going to point out City Rake will open this lock up as if it's the key. Oh, I thought we had just had it there. I mean, if I get hung up at all on this sucker, it's going to be embarrassing, isn't it? There we go. Top of keyway tensioning, not the best for this lock. But that's going to be a running theme here, is you're going to see not the best ways to pick some locks, but it will pick them. So we've now picked our Master 40, which we probably bought a 2 or 6 pack for at Lowe's for next to nothing. Okay, so now you're running around, you're looking for some locks with no keys or something, and maybe you get something like this, a pretty basic Schlage. Not the best top of keyway fit. A little bit loose, but it'll work. There we go, we're in. If you're wondering how that might have taken me so little time in this one, a little bit longer, I grew up picking these. These were, so yeah, I can do these things in my sleep. So there we go, we picked that one. So you get out on eBay or somewhere, or just run around a shop and you find one of these. Then you probably run to Reddit going, what lock is this? Which I did a lot of. And nobody's going to really be able to give you a great answer. They'll tell you the keyway type. But there's just a lot of these kind of generic-y locks out there. And this one may be from a commercial unit. May not be. You just don't know. The tension wrench I'm using is not a good fit. There we go, we're in. And we'll keep reminding people of that. So maybe you meet some people online and you get excited because you get your first Euro cylinder. Oh gosh, I hope this one's gonna work. I think I was supposed to use the other tension wrench. Okay, it's kind of, oh shit. It's kind of in there. Can I pick around that? If I do it low like that? I had this set up a certain way. I've kind of gone off script. So yeah, you're really excited. It's your first Euro cylinder. This is an ICO. This is the one Paola sent me. I believe from in Italy. Hope you're doing okay over there. We're in. Congrats, you've picked your first Euro cylinder. So now you're really excited. You've got your hands on a Schlage Everest. So let's see what we can do about getting this guy picked. Something has changed on this table. I can't get everything lined up. It kind of used to be. Can't remember. Let's see. Oh. This is not the pick to use. We'll see what we can do here, though. There we go. We're in to the Everest. So now, if you are a lockpicking Reddit person, you've hit blue belt with that. Once you gut it, of course. But yeah, you've hit blue belt. Okay, so here we are with a Sergeant signature. I don't know if it's going to be pretty hard to see. There is the leaf mark right there on the little side. Now this is the pick we might skimp a little bit on, just because I've done this before with this pick and it's kind of a pain in the butt. I'd say if it's your... So for those that don't know, the Sergeant signature is held together with 6 pins at the top and 2 locking sidebars. And essentially means you've got to pick the lock a couple times. You've got to pick the 6 pins, and then what we should get is a false set, a very light false set. Oh, there it was already. So we've got our very light false set. You can probably not even notice that. Now what we've got to do is pick the 2 locking bars on the side, and this is not ideal for it, but I think sometimes you can just rake the bars, and then what's going to happen is one of the bars will fall into the groove that the other one is on. Yeah, and I managed, yeah, there we go. So that is actually not an open, despite what that looks like. Well, let's test it. Actually, no, that's our open. I managed to hold it the entire time. Yay for me. So what normally happens is your one locking bar, and it may do it as I'm bringing it back, will get hung up. Yeah, you see, we can't actually relock it because we've got to pick those locking bars again. The locking bar drops into the slot that the other one was in when it rotates around. And so then you usually have to come in and pick them again. Now this is, I'm going to say straight off, this is an abnormal pick for a Sergeant signature. That was very quick. Normally your first time, especially if you're using a pick like this, you can probably expect anywhere from 4 minutes once you get okay with it, up to 18. I'd say 4 to 18 minutes is what you're typically looking at. The first time you do it, you may be looking at like 30. I got a little lucky on this one, and I pick these all the time as well. So I kind of know where to put the pick to catch those side pins. This is not a video about picking the Sergeant signature. I'm happy to do that. Seeing if I can get it to rotate back in locked. But usually you can see at least one of the side pins, and so if you get your pick on it, and you can kind of learn what that feels like, and then use that to feel out the others in the back of the lock, because they're not spaced all that evenly. And because of the way it works, when you first get the deeper false set, one of the sides, the pins are going to be jammed out, and on a 25 thousandths pick, it makes it difficult to get in there and edge out those others. Okay, so let's get into the point of this. I'm quite ecstatic about how quick I picked that Sergeant signature, actually. And the irony is not lost on me that I just picked that faster than the Master 40mm. Yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, so now we're into purple belt pretty much at this point. If you're, looking at the belt rankings on Reddit. And I guess the point here is we did all of that, if you noticed, with a tension wrench, which more or less fit everything. in one pick. And in this case, the pick is the Tron from Sparrows, which I do swear by, but it's basically just a shallow pick. So I know a lot of people, and there's a lot of reviews of all these different lockpicking kits, and how, you know, people are looking to get into lockpicking for as little money as possible, which I still contend you need to look at spending at least $50 to get into it, as well as almost any hobby. But you don't need a lot of stuff. I know this isn't impressive looking. You'd rather show your friends a kit, but that will get you with some pickiness all the way up to purple belt. Right, and I can tell you from past experience as well, Yale Superior, you can pick with this one. Again, not ideal, but you can pick it with that one pick. What else? American 1100s are real popular. You're far better off with like something with a high reach on it, or some kind of steep pick or postal pick. Even in 15,000s, but again, it is doable with this. The Schlage Everest, despite how quick that pick went, you know, I would have preferred using a DeForest diamond on it, only because of the way I pick them as well, because you need that extra lift, but I use that little bit of metal to hold that check pin up, and that's a bit of metal that, where did I throw it? Did I lose it? That's a bit of metal I found on the sidewalk. And I just use that to hold up the check pin. So that's really the only other tool we used picking all these locks. So yeah, a DeForest isn't great at grabbing that check pin. Something like this does it a lot better. Or you just find just a little piece of metal, slide it in there, pick it as a straight 6. So yeah, picking on the cheap, again, you just get yourself a good pick. And arguably you want a better selection of tension wrenches than just using one. I don't even know which one this one is, but I just used one to kind of prove a point. And we're gonna look at this later again in part 2. We're gonna get a little more into the numbers on it and just kind of look at things. But yeah, it's just one of those price conscious things. You know, you don't have to chase your tail around or chase around in all these reviews trying to, you know, really, you can get quite far with just these two. And we could keep going. I mean, we could go through a lot of Euro cylinders. We could go through a lot of regular American cylinders and stuff like that as well. I've used this to pick the Sargent XC. I'm terrible at picking bests, which is why I didn't do one, but I have picked a best to control using one of these Tron picks. Falcons. You can pick those. God, what else is in here? I got tons of Sargents, tons of generic cylinders. I picked some Cabas with it. Yeah, that's the point. And this was just basically a proof of concept before we get in and look at the numbers for getting into lockpicking as cheaply as possible. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. This is angled a little more at people looking to get into picking and getting into picking on the cheap side of things for as little expense as possible. And it's going to be a little more US based, I guess, than international based when we look in part 2. But there you go. Have a good one.